right, so the Manitouwadge Flyers, they've defied the odds, battled through controversy, and earned their spot in the national tournament. This is where the dream becomes reality. But I'm curious, what was it actually like for these kids? What kind of details do we have about their experience at the Nationals?
That's where the first-hand accounts from the players really bring this story to life.
Yeah.
Think about their journey to Moncton. For many, it was their first time on a plane.
Wow.
John Chernish, one of the defensemen, talked about those long bus rides, the multiple plane stops.
Oh my gosh.
It was a long way from Manitouwadge.
I bet. Suddenly these small-town kids are on this cross-country adventure, heading into the unknown. That must have been both exciting and nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. And then you add in the pressure of playing against teams that were, frankly, on another level. Teams like Don Mills, a powerhouse in youth hockey, they actually defeated the Flyers 14-2 in one of their games.
Ouch. That's a tough loss. But even against these powerhouse teams, did the Flyers still manage to hold their own?
They did. Even in those losses, the Flyers earned respect for their disciplined play and their refusal to back down. Their skating was often praised, and people noticed their never-give-up attitude.
That sounds like classic Bob Keys coaching.
Right.
Even if they weren't winning every game, he was making sure they were building character and representing their town with pride.
Yeah, and you can see how Coach Key's emphasis on teamwork and hard work really helped them overcome those moments of adversity. They might not have had the same resources as some of those big city teams,
Right.
but they had grit and determination in spades.
Okay, I've got to ask, what about the wins? Did they manage to pull off any victories at the national tournament?
They did, and it's a victory that really captures the spirit of this team.
Yeah.
They beat the Kentville Wild Cats from Nova Scotia, preventing a winless tournament. Ed Henderson still talks about how good that win felt.
Wow.
It wasn't just about avoiding a shutout, it was about proving that they belonged on that national stage.
It's like that one win validated all the sacrifices they had made,
Yeah.
all the challenges they had overcome.
Exactly. It cemented their legacy, not just as a team, but as a symbol of their town. You know, Manitouwadge was facing real hardship with the arena closure,
Of course.
and this small-town team gave them something to cheer for.
They became a source of pride, a symbol of resilience in a tough time. And that's something that transcends wins and losses.
It does. It speaks to the power of sports to unite a community, to give people hope, especially when times are tough. And it reminds us that sometimes the greatest victories aren't about the final score, but about the heart and determination it takes to get there.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
But this happened in 1977, long before social media and instant communication.
Yeah.
Do you think their story would have played out differently in today's world?
It's fascinating to think about, isn't it? Imagine the constant updates, the pressure, the scrutiny of the national media, all amplified by social media. Would it have been a distraction or a motivator? We can only speculate.
Yeah. It's a real what-if scenario. But back in 77, their story was still unfolding in real time for their community. Were there any efforts to keep the folks back home updated on their progress?
There were. We have some accounts of local newspapers running stories about the team's journey, and radio broadcasts helped keep the community connected to their Flyers, even from across the country.
It's amazing to think about those grainy radio broadcasts crackling with static as people huddled around, eager for news of their hometown heroes. It paints such a vivid picture of a different era.
It does, and it highlights how important those local media outlets were in connecting a community to a shared experience. It's a reminder that even in the pre-internet age, there was still a hunger for these kinds of stories, these underdog tales that capture the spirit of a place.
It's a timeless theme for sure. Speaking of those pre-internet days, do we know anything about how the players themselves experienced the national tournament? Were there any moments that stood out in their memories beyond the big games?
There are some wonderful anecdotes that offer glimpses into their experience. For instance, some players talked about the awe of playing in a large arena for the first time, feeling the energy of the crowd.
I can only imagine. These kids are used to playing in small-town rinks, and suddenly they're in this massive stadium under the bright lights. It must have felt like a whole new world.
Exactly. And there are stories about the camaraderie they experienced, meeting players from across the country, trading team pins, and sharing stories. Even in the midst of competition, there was this sense of shared passion for the game that transcended rivalries.
That's the beauty of sports, isn't it? It can bring people together in ways that nothing else can. But I'm curious. Amidst all the excitement and the intensity of the tournament, were there any specific players who really rose to the occasion? We've talked about Ken Fairservice. Were there any other standout performances?
There were Corey Foster, known for his leadership and work ethic, really shown during those national games. He consistently hustled, demonstrating the kind of grit and determination that Coach Keys had instilled in them.
It sounds like he embodied that never-give-up spirit that defined the Flyers. And his leadership qualities suggest that he wasn't just a talented player, but a true team player, someone who inspired those around him.
Absolutely. And his contributions highlight another important aspect of this story, the impact of individual players within a team dynamic. It's a reminder that even within a collective effort, there are always those who stand out, who elevate those around them.
It's like a microcosm of the whole Manitouwadge Flyers story, isn't it? You have this team that's defying the odds, but within that team, you have these individual stories of resilience, of leadership, of players who are pushing themselves to be their best.
And that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just a black and white tale of victory or defeat. It's a story about the complexities of human experience, about the individuals who make up a team, and about the community that rallies behind them.
So we've got these incredible individual stories, this inspiring team spirit, and this whole town back home that's living and breathing every moment of this journey. But I can't help but think about those eligibility disputes that were hanging over the tournament. Do we know anything more about how those unfolded?
We do, and it offers a fascinating glimpse into the state of youth hockey back then.
Okay, let's dig into that. Seems like there's more to uncover about this side of the story. So we left off with these eligibility disputes that were swirling around the Wrigley Midget Tournament. It sounds like a bit of a logistical nightmare, especially back in 1977.
It really was a different time, you know? The rules and regulations surrounding youth hockey weren't as standardized or as easily enforced as they are today. Think about it. No internet. No easily accessible databases to verify player information.
So it's more of a word-of-mouth system, relying on honesty and maybe a few phone calls to sort things out.
Exactly. And things could get lost in translation pretty easily. It seems like the TBAHA, the governing body for amateur hockey in those days, was still figuring out how to handle these situations fairly.
And in the middle of all this, you have these teenage hockey players just trying to focus on playing the game they love. It makes you wonder how much of this behind-the-scenes drama even filtered down to the players themselves.
That's a good question. Did they feel the pressure of these disputes? Did it create any tension or anxiety? Or were they able to just block it out and focus on the game? It would be fascinating to know how those external pressures might have impacted the team dynamics.
I'm picturing Coach Keys giving them a pep talk, telling them to ignore the noise and just play their hearts out.
Yeah.
But it's hard to imagine that it didn't affect them at all.
Right. And it reminds us that even in something as seemingly straightforward as a hockey tournament, there's always this undercurrent of human drama, of rules and regulations, of personalities clashing behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in the world of sports, things are rarely as simple as they appear. But ultimately, the Flyers persevered through all of this, right? They made their town proud. They had their moment on the national stage. What happened to those players afterward? Did any of them go on to have professional careers?
Well, not in the NHL. But some continued to play at higher levels, like junior hockey. But that's not really the point, is it? The impact of this experience goes far beyond wins and losses.
I totally agree. It's about the life lessons learned, the friendships formed, the memories that last a lifetime.
Exactly. Ed Hederson, years later, still talked about how Coach Keys shaped them, not just as athletes, but as men. He instilled values of discipline, hard work, perseverance qualities that are valuable in any walk of life.
It's that classic story of sports building character, of teamwork and dedication leading to success both on and off the ice. But it's also a testament to the power of community, of a small town rallying around its team and celebrating their achievements.
Absolutely. And remember that banner unveiled in Manitouwadge in 2010 honoring the Flyers' journey. That's proof that their story continues to inspire people even decades later. It shows the lasting impact they had on their community.
Yeah, it's a beautiful reminder that sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about championships or trophies, but about the human spirit, about overcoming adversity, and about the enduring bonds formed through shared experiences.
And that's what makes this deep dive so rewarding. It's not just a hockey story. It's a story about resilience, community, and the power of chasing a dream, even when the odds are stacked against you.
Well said. It makes me think about how their story might resonate differently with each person who hears it. Some might focus on the underdog aspect, the David versus Goliath theme. Others might be drawn to the importance of community support or the lessons about perseverance and character building.
That's the beauty of a story like this. It has so many layers, so many different threads that people can connect with. And it invites us to reflect on our own experiences, our own challenges, and the moments that have shaped who we are.
It's like a mirror reflecting back at us, showing us the potential for greatness that exists within each of us, regardless of where we come from or what obstacles we face.
So as you go about your day, Maybe think about the Manitouwadge Flyers. Think about their dedication, their resilience, their unwavering belief in themselves. And ask yourself, what dreams are you chasing? What challenges are you facing? And how can you summon that same Flyers spirit to overcome those obstacles and achieve something truly remarkable?
That's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the story of the Manitouwadge Flyers. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.